Did you know that the key to manifesting your desires faster isn't simply wanting something badly enough? In fact, it has very little to do with how much you wish for something. The real power lies in how much you believe it's already yours. Imagine for a moment that what you seek has already been achieved. Picture yourself already living in the reality you've been dreaming of. How would you feel? What would change in your life? The truth is, the speed at which your desires come to fruition isn't determined by chance or luck. It's rooted in a powerful principle that Neville Goddard taught: the law of assumption. You see, manifestation is not just about asking the universe for what you want and waiting for it to come to you. It's about embodying the mindset and emotions of someone who already has it. It's the shift from hoping for something to knowing that it's already done. This subtle yet profound change in perspective is what accelerates the process of manifestation. In this video, we're going to explore how this simple yet often overlooked concept can radically change how quickly you manifest your dreams. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll discover the single most important shift you can make to bring everything you desire into your life, and much faster than you ever imagined. Manifestation is a word that's often thrown around in today's world. You hear people talking about attracting wealth, love, success, and more by simply focusing on what they want. But there's more to this process than simply thinking positively or creating a vision board. Manifestation is not about hoping for something to appear someday. It's about assuming it has already arrived. Neville Goddard, a spiritual teacher and mystic, offered a unique approach to the art of manifesting. His teaching centered around the power of imagination and belief, particularly what he called the law of assumption. This law states that whatever you assume to be true in your mind will become your reality, whether it's positive or negative. Goddard taught that the key to creating the life you desire is not found in external efforts, but in your internal state of being. According to him, your world is a reflection of your thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. If you want to change your life, you must first change the assumptions you hold about yourself and your circumstances. So, what does this mean in practical terms? Neville often emphasized that it's not enough to simply wish for something or even work hard to achieve it. Instead, you must assume that you are already the person you desire to be. In his view, the moment you fully accept this assumption as your reality, you activate the creative power of your imagination to make it manifest. This teaching aligns with the idea that we are co-creators with God, the divine presence within us. When we align our inner world, our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, with the reality we wish to experience, we set in motion a series of events that bring that reality into being. What makes the law of assumption so powerful is that it bypasses the need for external validation or waiting for circumstances to change. Instead of waiting for the right opportunity or the right conditions to appear, Goddard teaches that we should live as though the opportunity has already presented itself. By doing this, we allow our desires to materialize in ways we could never predict. This isn't just about thinking positively. The law of assumption is about embodying the truth of what you want. It's about shifting your consciousness from one of lack to one of abundance, from one of wishing to one of having. Neville believed that once you make this shift and assume that your desire has already come to pass, the physical world must align with your inner state. The law of assumption teaches us that everything begins within. It is your inner dialogue, the way you speak to yourself and the assumptions you hold, that shape your outer world. When you assume that what you desire is already yours, you are no longer hoping or waiting. You are living in the certainty of it. Throughout this video, we will explore how you can harness this powerful principle in your own life. By understanding and applying Neville Goddard's law of assumption, you can begin to manifest what you want faster than ever before. But before we dive deeper, let's first examine the common challenges that people face when they try to manifest their desires. Understanding these challenges will help you see why the law of assumption is such a game changer in accelerating the process of manifestation. I want to speak to you about a principle that has changed countless lives: the law of assumption. Many of you are here because you desire to manifest something, perhaps money, love, or success. But there is a secret to manifestation that many overlook. It is not found in hoping for something, nor is it in endless wishing for change. The key lies in assumption. You see, manifestation is not about asking or pleading with some external force to give you what you desire. No, manifestation begins within. The moment you assume that you are already the person you wish to be, or that you already have what you desire, the wheels are set in motion. The world you experience is a reflection of the assumptions you hold about yourself and the life around you. This is the law of assumption. I have said many times that imagining creates reality. Your imagination is the most powerful tool you possess. For it is within your imagination that you can assume the reality you desire. In fact, you must assume it. You must occupy that state in consciousness before it can be made visible in your world. Many of you have been taught that life is something that happens to you, that success, wealth, or love are things to be pursued, earned, or waited for. But I tell you, nothing could be further from the truth. The truth is that the power to create the life you desire is already within you. You are constantly creating, whether you realize it or not, through the thoughts you think and the assumptions you hold. If you wish to manifest anything, you must begin by assuming that it is already done. How do you do this, you ask? It is quite simple. You must begin to live from the end. You must feel the fulfillment of your desire as if it has already happened. You do not wait for external confirmation. You do not wait for others to approve or for circumstances to align. You act as if it is already true in the depths of your being. And when you do this, the outer world will rearrange itself to mirror your internal state. The law of assumption teaches us that the world is not something we must struggle against. It is not something we must try to change from the outside. Instead, we change ourselves, our inner assumptions, our inner dialogue, and the world conforms to this new state of being. It cannot help but do so. What you assume to be true, you will eventually experience. This is the foundation of manifestation. It is not enough to wish or hope. You must assume it, live in it, breathe it, and it will be. The world around you is a mirror, reflecting back to you what you believe to be true of yourself. If you change your assumptions, you will change your world. Now, many of you may wonder why it is that despite your best efforts, you still struggle to manifest your desires. You've perhaps tried affirmations, vision boards, and endless hours of positive thinking, but the results seem elusive. Let me tell you, the issue is not in your desire. It is not in your efforts. The issue lies in how you are assuming. Most people, when they desire something, focus their energy on the wanting. They fixate on the absence of what they wish to have. They look at their current circumstances and see only what is missing: the lack of money, the absence of love, the unfulfilled dream. And in doing so, they are reinforcing that very lack. This is where the struggle begins. You see, the more you focus on wanting, the more you affirm to yourself that you do not yet have what you desire. The mind clings to this state of lack, and it creates a vicious cycle. You wake up every day, reaffirming to yourself what you do not have. You think, I want this, and you go about your day feeling the absence of it. What you are truly doing, my friends, is assuming the state of wanting, not the state of having. The law of assumption, when understood correctly, reveals to you that you cannot manifest from a state of want. Wanting is a state of mind that acknowledges only the absence of what you desire. But the moment you shift from wanting to having, even before you see any physical evidence, everything changes. This shift is not easy for most because we have been conditioned to believe in what we see with our eyes rather than what we feel in our hearts. But I tell you, what you feel as true within, you will see reflected without. Another challenge many face is impatience. You begin to practice assuming your desire is fulfilled, but when the results do not immediately appear, you grow discouraged. You look around and see no change, and you allow doubt to creep in. Doubt is the enemy of assumption. It weakens your conviction and pulls you back into the old state of lack. But remember this, you are planting seeds in your mind. And like any seed, it takes time for them to sprout. You must persist in your assumption. You must remain faithful to your vision, even when the outer world shows no signs of change. For I tell you, the moment you fully assume it is true, the universe begins to shift and events start to unfold in your favor. But you must remain steadfast. Many of you also believe that your desires are too big, too far beyond your reach. You think, how could this possibly happen for me? And in doing so, you place limits on the very power within you. There are no limits in the mind of God, which is your own wonderful human imagination. If you can imagine it, if you can feel it as real within you, then it is possible. But the moment you allow doubt, fear, or hesitation to take root, you slow the process of manifestation. You might ask, but what about the circumstances in my life? Surely they play a role in this. And I say to you, circumstances do not matter. What matters is your assumption. Circumstances are nothing more than the outward reflection of your inner state. If you wish to change your circumstances, you must first change your assumptions about what is possible. Stop looking at the world through the lens of limitation. Stop believing that external forces are greater than the power within you. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the creator of your reality. And the reality you experience today is the result of the assumptions you held yesterday. If you want to change tomorrow, you must change your assumptions today. So let me ask you, what are you assuming right now? What story are you telling yourself about your life? If it is a story of lack, of struggle, of impossibility, then that is what you will continue to experience. But if you begin to assume the state of having, to feel the joy, the peace, and the gratitude of already being the person you desire to be, then your world must shift to reflect that new state. The struggle is not with the universe, my friends. The struggle is within you. And the moment you release that struggle, the moment you shift your assumptions, the path to your desires will open. It is not about forcing or manipulating the world around you. It is about aligning with the reality you wish to experience and trusting that it will unfold in perfect time. Now that we understand the struggle, let us explore the solution, the power of assumption. Everything begins in your imagination. Imagination is the very gateway to your desires, for it is the tool through which you create your reality. But it is not enough to simply imagine. You must assume that what you imagine is already true. This is the foundation of the law of assumption. Many people approach manifestation as if it were something outside of them, something they must reach out and grasp. But I tell you, Manifestation is not a process of reaching out. It is a process of going within. It is in the depth of your own being that the power lies. I want you to understand this clearly. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you believe you already have. And this belief must be felt in the core of your being. It must not be a fleeting thought or a vague hope. It must be an assumption so strong, so rooted, that you live from it as though it is already your reality. This is what I mean when I speak of living in the end. Imagine for a moment the life you desire. See yourself living in it, not as a distant dream, but as your present reality. How would you feel if it were already true? What would you be doing? How would your days unfold? The key to accelerating your manifestation is to dwell in that state of mind consistently. You must occupy that feeling of fulfillment, not just during moments of meditation, but in your everyday life. If you want to manifest wealth, do not think of wealth as something you will have one day. Assume that you are already wealthy. Feel what it is like to have financial abundance. Walk as if you are prosperous. Think from the position of a wealthy person, not someone who is struggling to get by. It is this shift in assumption that makes all the difference. Let me share with you how this principle has worked for me. There was a time when I wanted to travel and lecture around the world, sharing this knowledge. But at the time, I had no resources to make that a reality. However, I did not dwell on what I lacked. Instead, I imagined myself already doing it. I would close my eyes and see myself in different cities, speaking to audiences and sharing these truths. I could hear the applause. I could feel the excitement. I did this every night before I fell asleep. And what happened? Opportunities began to present themselves. Out of nowhere, I met people who helped me make those connections. Doors opened, and soon I was traveling and lecturing as I had imagined. This was not a coincidence. It was the law of assumption in action. I assumed it was already done, and the universe rearranged itself to make it so. The mistake most people make is that they look for signs. They wait for proof that their desire is on the way, and when they don't see immediate results, they lose faith. But I tell you, you do not need signs. The only sign you need is your own conviction that it is already done. Once you assume the state of having, you do not need to search for evidence. The evidence will come in ways you cannot predict. The how is not your concern. Your only task is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Let me be clear. This is not about pretending or acting as though something is true. This is about feeling it in your soul, knowing that it is already yours. There is a vast difference between wishing for something and assuming it is done. Wishing keeps you in a state of wanting, while assuming places you in the state of having. And it is in the state of having that all manifestation occurs. If you want to manifest love, for example, you must not think of love as something that will come to you one day. You must assume that you are already loved, that the perfect partner is already in your life. Feel what it would be like to be in that loving relationship. Do not focus on the absence of love, but on the presence of it. Live in the state of being loved, and love will come to you. This is the power of the law of assumption. It bypasses all external obstacles. It does not matter what your current circumstances are. It does not matter if you are surrounded by debt, loneliness, or sickness. These are just reflections of your past assumptions. The moment you change your assumptions, the world around you must change to reflect them. Some of you may still wonder, But how can I possibly feel something that I do not yet see? The answer lies in your imagination. Your imagination is not bound by the physical world. It can create anything. And when you use your imagination to assume that what you desire is already true, your mind and body begin to align with that reality. You start to think and act in ways that bring your desire into being. This is not magic. It is the natural law of creation. Take, for example, someone who wishes to be successful in their career. If they continue to think of themselves as struggling, as someone who is not quite there yet, they will remain in that state. But if they begin to assume that they are already successful, if they start to think from the perspective of success, they will begin to see opportunities where they once saw obstacles. Their actions will reflect their new state of being, and success will follow. The same is true for health. If you are battling an illness, do not dwell in the state of sickness. Instead, assume the feeling of health. Imagine yourself full of vitality, doing the things you love. Feel the strength in your body, the clarity in your mind. The moment you assume health, your body begins to heal. This is not merely positive thinking. This is assuming the truth of your being, and your body will respond to it. Now, you may ask, how long does it take for these assumptions to manifest? The answer depends on your conviction. The stronger your belief in the reality of your assumption, the faster it will manifest. Some things may happen overnight, while others may take time. But the timing is not your concern. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to your assumption. Rest in the knowing that it is already done, and trust that it will unfold in the perfect way. Many of you are still trying to change the outer world directly. You believe that if you work hard enough, push hard enough, you can force things to happen. But I tell you, this is not the way. The outer world is merely a reflection of your inner state. If you wish to change the world around you, you must first change within. Assume that you are already the person you desire to be, and the world will conform to that new reality. This is the power of assumption, and it is available to each and every one of you. You do not need to struggle. You do not need to fight against circumstances. You simply need to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and trust that it will come to pass, and it will, in ways that you cannot even begin to imagine. Let me share with you a powerful insight that will change how you manifest forever. This is the technique that can take your manifestation journey to the next level. It's something I've shared before, but many overlook its true significance, and it is this: the act of falling asleep in the assumption of your wish fulfilled. I want you to understand the power of your subconscious mind. When you are on the verge of sleep, in that drowsy, relaxed state, your conscious mind begins to fade, and your subconscious becomes fully open to suggestion. This is the golden moment to plant the seed of your desire. As you drift off to sleep, you must assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. This is not a passive act, nor is it merely wishful thinking. It is an intentional practice. Before you fall asleep, you must fully enter the state of having. Imagine that what you desire has already been achieved. Feel it, live it, in your mind. If it is wealth you seek, feel the abundance surrounding you. If it is love, feel the warmth of being loved. If it is health, feel the vitality coursing through your body. Whatever it is you wish to manifest, assume that it is already done. You might ask, why is this important? The reason is simple. When you fall asleep in this state, your subconscious mind takes over, and it works to manifest that which you have impressed upon it. Your conscious mind may doubt, it may waver, but your subconscious does not. It accepts what you give it as truth, and it goes to work to bring that truth into your physical reality. Many people fall asleep with thoughts of worry, lack, or fear. They go to bed thinking about the problems they face or the things they do not have. And then they wonder why their lives remain filled with those very things. What you fall asleep thinking about, your subconscious accepts as true, and it will continue to recreate those conditions in your life. This is why I say to you, never go to bed without assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Let me give you an example. I once had a student who desired a better job, one that would bring him greater income and fulfillment. Each night, before he fell asleep, he would imagine himself in his new office, sitting at his desk, feeling proud of his work. He imagined the satisfaction he felt from his achievements, the respect of his colleagues, and the joy of his new position. He did this every night, consistently assuming the feeling of having already attained what he desired. Within a few weeks, an opportunity arose that seemed to come out of nowhere. A friend of a friend recommended him for a position that was exactly what he had been imagining. The offer came swiftly, and he stepped into the role as though it had been waiting for him all along. Why did this happen? Because he had already lived in the end in his imagination. His subconscious mind had accepted it as true, and the world conspired to make it so. This is the power of falling asleep in the assumption. Your mind is a garden, and whatever seeds you plant in it during those precious moments before sleep will grow. So, I urge you, each night before you drift into slumber, do not dwell on what you lack or what you fear. Instead, assume that what you want is already yours. See it, feel it, believe it, and then let your subconscious take care of the rest. Some of you may wonder, but how long must I do this? The answer is simple, until you believe it is true. There is no set time frame. Some manifestations happen quickly, while others may take longer. But your only task is to persist in the assumption. Do not concern yourself with how or when it will come to pass. Simply rest in the knowing that it is done. And when it is done in your mind, it must eventually be done in the world around you. This is the game-changing insight I offer you tonight. Use the moment before sleep to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Do this consistently, with faith and conviction, and watch as your world transforms to reflect your inner state. So, let us summarize what we have covered tonight. We began with the understanding that manifestation is not a process of hoping or wishing. It is rooted in the power of assumption, the act of assuming that what you desire is already yours. This is the law of assumption, and it governs everything you will ever manifest in your life. We spoke of the common struggles people face when trying to manifest. The focus on lack, impatience, and doubt. These are obstacles that arise when you remain in a state of wanting rather than a state of having. The key is to shift your inner world, to live from the end, to assume that your desire is already fulfilled. I reminded you that the world around you is a reflection of your inner state. The circumstances you experience today are the results of the assumptions you held yesterday. And if you wish to change your future, you must first change the assumptions you hold in the present. This is why it is so important to cultivate the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel it deeply, live in it, and the world will bend to reflect it. We then explored the powerful practice of falling asleep in the assumption of your wish fulfilled. This is a moment when your conscious mind fades and your subconscious becomes fully receptive. What you assume in this drowsy state before sleep will take root in your subconscious and will eventually manifest in your waking life. It is not enough to wish for something. You must live in the feeling of having it, especially in those final moments before sleep. The entire process of manifestation, from beginning to end, is about aligning your inner world with the reality you wish to create. You do not need to struggle or fight against circumstances. You do not need to force anything into being. Simply assume that it is already done. Live from the end and trust that your assumption will harden into fact. This is the secret I have shared with you tonight. And I assure you, if you apply this teaching with faith and persistence, you will begin to see your desires manifest faster than you ever thought possible. There are no limits to what you can achieve. The only limits are those you place upon yourself through your assumptions. Change your assumptions, and you will change your world. Now that you have learned about the law of assumption and how to harness its power, I encourage you to take action tonight. As you prepare to sleep, practice assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Whether it is wealth, health, love, or success, assume that it is already done and rest in that feeling. Do this with faith and watch as your world begins to shift. I invite you to share your experiences with this practice. Have you noticed any changes in your life after applying the law of assumption? What are the desires you wish to manifest? Leave a comment below and let me know how this teaching resonates with you. If you found this lecture helpful, explore more of my teachings by watching the next video, where we dive deeper into practical applications of the law of assumption in everyday life. Continue this journey with me, and you will discover that the power to create your reality has been within you all along. Remember, your world is shaped by your assumptions. The moment you shift your inner state, your outer world must follow. Take the first step tonight and begin living from the end. The life you desire is already waiting for you. All you need to do is assume it.